Shavua Tov, everybody. Wishing you all a good week. I am going to be talking about Parashat Chukat. I will be uploading a separate video explaining a little bit about what a parasha is and a little bit of background to Reform Progressive Judaism. Parashat Chukat has four main stories in it. The first one is the story of the Parah Adumah, which is the Red Heifer. This is a law, and in Judaism, in the Torah, when it says a law, that's the rough translation. It's a chok, which means that this is a law that God has given that we don't necessarily have an explanation for. Now, it is said that Moses, Aaron, and Miriam did know the reason for this, but that is in commentary. So basically, we don't know the reason behind this. The law of the Red Heifer is very, very intricate and detailed. It's to find a red heifer with no blemish. There is a process of slaughter and then burning of the offering. And then there is very detailed information about how to prepare these ashes in such a way that these ashes, together with spices and water, are used in ceremonies to cleanse and purify people after they have come in contact with a dead body or have become spiritually impure in other ways. So there's a whole explanation before it. This takes 22 parts, 22 sentences really in the beginning of this parasha. And what I found very interesting and connecting to these days with this is that it deals with spiritual purity and cleanliness. Over the time of COVID-19 and the virus, we've become very familiar and very aware of physical cleanliness. So we deal with washing hands now. We have almost a daily or hourly ritual in order to keep ourselves physically clean and in order to keep others physically clean as well. So I found this connection quite interesting, that the Parah Adumah was talking about spiritual cleanliness and rituals we need to go through to achieve that. And today we are very much dealing with a situation where cleanliness, protection, separation, these are things that we are dealing with very much on a day-to-day basis. It's also important to point out that this is just the first story in the parasha, and one of the themes that it brings up, or two of the themes actually that it brings up, is mourning and water. Water is used in many preparations of the efer, the dust of the red heifer. So water is a crucial part of cleanliness and of differentiating people from being pure to being impure and the other way around. So that's important. And then it talks about grieving, how to properly grieve in a way that is that keeps everybody a part of the people, that they can return to the people after 7 days of being unclean. Now, this is very, very well detailed in the parasha, and it's explained in depth how this should be used. And this brings me on to the second part of the parasha, which involves just a very, very short sentence, really. And I'll read it when I get to it. Here we go. It says, ויבואו בני ישראל כל העדה מדבר צין, בחודש הראשון וישב שם בקדש, ותמת שם מרים ותקבר שם. The entire congregation of the children of Israel arrived in the desert of Zin in the first month, and the people settled in Kadesh. Miriam died there and was buried there, and the congregation had no water. And the congregation had no water. So they assembled against Moses and Aaron. Okay, Miriam has been associated with water for since we've actually met her. Miriam had laid Moses in the basket, in the bulrushes, so there's water there. She features again after the parting of the Red Sea, where she sings a song of praise to God for parting the water. And then there is another time where the people had a lack of water, and God asked Moses to hit a stone, actually asked him to hit a stone, which he did, and from which came water, which is referred to as the well of Miriam. Miriam is spiritually and physically the source of water in this story. Now, Miriam had died, and the people had no water, because without Miriam, there is no water. And God spoke to Moses and said, Moses, speak to this rock. Now he said, the rock. So obviously he knew which rock to speak to. This was Miriam's rock. This was the rock that was providing water to Israel throughout the desert. We have no explanation how this happened, but it happened. Israel was provided with water while Miriam was alive through the rock of Miriam. Now, Miriam has gone, the water is gone, the rock is still there. And Moses is asked to speak to the rock. Not like the previous time he was asked to hit it. This time he was asked to speak to it. So Moses goes to the rock. He has the people of Israel behind him complaining non-stop about lack of water. And we have him actually mourning the death of his sister, who is one of the three leaders and a partner to him in getting people out of Israel. Getting people out of Egypt and on the way to Israel. We're very close to getting to Israel in the story, and we lose Miriam. So you can understand his frustration, and Moses hits the rock. What I find very interesting is that a lot of commentary ask, why did Moses hit the rock? Surely he should have had the faith to believe in God and to speak to the rock as requested. He did not do this. He turned around to the people and he said, "Here you are, rebels. I will get water out of this rock." And he hit the rock and water came out. And as a result, he was punished that he would not go into the Holy Land. In fact, in this story, we find out Miriam dies at the beginning, Aaron dies in the middle, and we also find out that Moses will not be getting into the promised land. Moses, opposed to the other two, will get to see it. He will get to stand on a mountain and see it, but he will never get to go in to the promised land. Now that we have a bit of the story, I'm going to stop and put a second part in, because in order to upload I need only a certain amount of minutes on each one. So this is part 1. See you again for part 2.